Welcome to a new episode of Profitable Chats. It's been a while. We have something kind of different, a little bit different. The Lord has been trying to teach us some stuff, and we're trying to learn it. We're actually starting to write a Bible study.
Training
a
program,
lesson, something.
lesson.
Anyways,
whatever you want to call it.
whatever. And so, even though we're doing this as Profitable Chats, this is actually the very beginning of what he's showing us. So, it is still a word from the Lord. It's just different than stuff we've done before. So, we're kind of excited about it. We're already trying to exercise some of these things in our own lives, and we have not mastered this stuff. We're learning it, but anyway, it's interesting. So hopefully you'll stick with us, and we're going to see how it goes right now. So
like it.
It's a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Rob's got his notes over this direction. So if you see him reading this way, he's just looking at his notes.
I usually don't go off of notes.
Right.
But this is a different thing.
Yeah, everything's different.
We put a lot of time into trying to organize the progression of it and not give too much information all at once, or there's so much in there that it's easy to go everywhere all at once. So
right, and it's kind of important that things are done in a certain order. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So if you see him stare off, he's not really staring. He's looking at his notes, which we have large over here, so he can read it. So I think we're ready to go.
I think so.
You guys are great and you're patient while I have this very long introduction, but here we go. Do we have a title?
I don't think we don't know yet. Right now.
We don't know yet, but nevertheless, you'll see it. It'll be up there when we post. So
this section is the science behind it. But
the science behind it. Okay.
Not what the whole thing is about, but
I'm excited if it's science.
Yes.
Because a lot of people think that science and Bible are opposites or whatever, and they're so not. So I'm very excited about this.
Now, having said that, there are times that the science that we present out there is not accurate because they try to mold it in a way that fits their narrative. But actual science, which that word just means knowledge.
That's great to know. Okay.
It lines up with the scriptures without question.
Awesome.
In this one, we found
a lot of
so many scriptures that just really kept driving this home. And as a matter of fact, let's start by reading some of the scriptures.
Okay, awesome.
What we want to do is we want to just read a couple scriptures that most people are probably going to know or have heard some of it or something. And then we'll read them again at the end. And I have a feeling when we read them at the end, we're gonna have a completely different understanding than at the beginning. So why don't you share those with us?
That seems great. Okay, so just these ones here that you gave me.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great start.
All right, so I'm just reading off the paper, but I'll say where it's found and stuff. So Proverbs 23, verse 7. As a man thinks within himself, so is he.
Heard that many times.
Yeah, we've all heard that. Okay. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5. We are destroying speculations and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, blah, blah, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, think on these things. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Romans 8, 6, for the mind set on the flesh is death, but the mind set on the Spirit is life and peace. And Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect.
Okay, we've heard most of those.
Yep.
I can't hear them the same way that I used to anymore.
Well, hopefully that works for everybody. So let's see.
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
The first place we're going to start is just understanding. We've heard the term brain, mind, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
brain and mind are two different things.
Oh, okay, see, forever we think they're the same. Okay.
We usually do put them in the same thing, and they're not.
Okay.
The brain, well, it's the soft, squishy stuff, the organic material inside our skull. Easy definition. There's more complete definition, but it's just, that's what the brain is. It's the physical part that
it's your gray matter
that does the phenomenal things that it does in our body.
Okay.
The thinking used to be that the brain dictated who we were. It was pre-wired, pre-programmed, and we were just slaves to our brain, and it just it affected our thoughts. It told us all these things. Science has finally caught up with the truth and says that that's not the case. The truth is the mind controls the brain. Now, the easiest way that I've been able to...
What's the definition of mind then?
Okay.
I mean, can we do that?
Let me get it to you from here. Order? The mind is where your thoughts enter into your awareness. Okay, you first become aware of a thought.
Okay.
Okay, that's in your mind.
Okay.
Okay. It's what defines consciousness.
Okay.
And the actual definition, the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and the experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. That's the actual definition. So
that's where our thoughts are. Okay,
correct.
Go
ahead.
Our
brain does not control us. We actually control our brain. This is an important thing we got to understand is our brain, we're not just slaves to whatever our brain does. It throws off hormones and we have to react to them and all these things that we've been told before. The truth is the mind and our thoughts, and actually the choosing of what we do with our thoughts, determines what and how our brain does and acts, and what and how our brain reacts with our body. Okay. So the easiest way I've come to picture it is when a thought enters your mind, think of your mind is almost like that little thought bubble that's right outside of your head. And that's where the thought comes to.
That's where it originates or whatever?
And then we can choose to let it enter the brain or not enter the brain. Okay. And we think that our thoughts are just what they are. And our thoughts overwhelm us sometimes and we get overrun by thoughts and what are we going to do? And it's just, you feel almost helpless sometimes. But the truth is,
because it's chaos and it's too much. Yeah.
It can be because we've let it run wild.
Okay.
So now we know the difference between the two.
Brain and mind.
Brain and the mind.
Okay.
So our thoughts come into our mind, and then we choose if they go to our brain.
Okay.
We'll get into that a little deeper and what that does. But, our thoughts. I'll go to my notes here. We have absolute control over our thoughts. Sometimes that seems like that's no. We do. Even there's some scriptures that say that say, think on these things. It tells you to think on those things, to control your thoughts to those things. Take every thought captive. Okay.
That's what we just
read that. So we have the capability of taking every thought that comes to our mind captive. Scripture says it.
Right.
Science now says it. Okay. So
whoa, it's like God knew what he's talking about.
Almost. So when we have a thought, we can either accept it or reject it. All right?
Okay.
It seems pretty simple. Comes in our bubble. Okay. We can accept that thought and we put it in our brain, or we reject it, cast it out.
Okay.
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 Seems pretty simple.
So that's what take your thought captive means, is you're holding it.
Correct.
Until you know if you're going to take it
even
or
to the
leave
point
it.
that you think of that thought as it's a captive. You know, you take it captive, you imprison it, and then you're gonna interrogate it and find out what's your purpose here. Do you mean good or do you mean harm?
Yeah. What are you up to?
And based on what we learn, we decide what to do with it. We're either going to set it free or we're going to kill it. Set it free in the mind to do its thing, or we're going to kill it and it's not going to have anything to do with us.
Okay.
So now, when I might have got my notes, I don't know if this feels like it's the right place to go next, but my notes are wanting me to go to neuroplasty.
Well,
I'll touch on it and then we'll go through the thought process. Let's do that. Let's see if this flows well enough.
Okay.
So the scientific thought or concept of neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. That's a long one.
Neurons have to do with your brain.
Excuse me. Yes.
If I'm boring you, I'm sure I'm boring them.
I'm so sorry.
So neurons have to do with our brain, neuro, and plasticity is moldable. And our brains are moldable. Every thought that we allow into our brain changes our brain structure. It literally has a physical change to our brain. Okay, so our brains are changing and reshaping constantly based on, I want to say based on our thoughts, but it's really based on the choice we make of our thoughts.
Well, I mean, it's going to be based on your thoughts, because if you let everything in.
Well, if you let everything in, that's correct.
It's going to do that.
But then you're choosing not to reject, so you're still making a choice. Comes down to choice.
Okay, because that's what I was going to ask. So, all right.
Comes down to choice, because even if we choose not to evaluate our thoughts and just let them in just willy-nilly, we're still making that choice not to evaluate them. We're making that choice not to hold them captive and see if it's something we want.
Okay.
That's choice. So then when we make a choice, it actually creates physical real estate, takes up physical real estate in our brain. I mean, a physical thing happens in our brain.
Okay.
So our thoughts change our brain.
Okay.
One of the terms that was used in this book, or one of the books, is that we are capable of doing our own brain surgery. Because based on our thoughts, our choices of our thoughts, we change the structure of our brain. We change how it looks, how it functions, how it operates, how it communicates with the rest of our body.
Oh, nice.
All by our thoughts. We get to choose that. Okay? So the other term that's going to come up is epigenetics. Seems like a big word, but it's really not. Genetics are our genetic DNA. What's in our genes are called. Epigenetics, well, let me read the definition, is the study of inheritable changes. So that means you inherit stuff through your DNA. Okay. Changes caused by activation or deactivation of genes without any change to the DNA sequence itself. Okay. The ability to turn on or off DNA sequences through gene manipulation. Sounds scientific and complicated, but it's very simple. When something gets wired into our genes, okay, let's take for instance.
I have red hair.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good one. All right.
Well, not for this scenario, but that is accurate. So let's say
that it's in my genes. That's what you're saying.
Heart disease. They always say heart disease is genetic, right? High cholesterol is genetic. Arthritis is. I'm just saying what they tell us.
Okay. It's what they tell us.
It's what they tell us. They tell us a lot of things. Question everything. Anyway, so when you're born, your DNA is written, your code is written based on your parents' DNA.
Okay.
Your DNA can actually change in the womb. Your mom can go through an extremely stressful thing, and that can be passed through the umbilical into the fetus and change DNA actually at that time as well.
Whoa.
Good or bad.
Okay.
So let's say that you're born, everybody up your parents' line has heart conditions, whatever. And they always ask you that on the doctor form. Any of your relatives have this?
Right.
That's to go, oh my gosh, they do, so I do too. And, you know, it's to create fear. Again, don't trust everything you're being told. So the truth is that maybe that heart defect is coded in your DNA, but it's bound up. It's tied up. Okay.
Okay.
And each code in your DNA has a switch. You can switch it on or switch it off. Okay. So if you say, yep, my mom had heart conditions, so it's genetic, I have it too. Your body just released the signals necessary to go into your DNA and switch that on. Because you're not a liar, you're a creator.
So
So you just created the truth that you're going to live out. Because you accepted it, you flipped on your DNA switch, and now, yes, that DNA is part of it.
We've had videos about that before.
In a smaller sense, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I mean, we're created in God's image, and He created the world with words, vibrations, and frequencies. And we can do the same.
Yes.
So if we just, may I say blindly, just accept, well, this happened in our family, then we've actually turned it on.
Yes. Your body will comply to you, to your thoughts, to your choices of what you do with those thoughts. Your body has to comply to that. That's the way we're created. So when that thought goes in and you say, yep, yep, I've got heart disease. Or a better one, you're reading through symptoms because you're struggling with something, and you don't know what it is, and it's like, oh yeah, that's what it is. I've got that. You can go into your DNA and turn that on. Or create it.
Do that too, right?
They do. They absolutely do.
Okay. Well, that's probably why they put so many medicine commercials on. Do you have all these problems? Oh, you need to go see your doctor.
So that's epigenetics. You're capable of turning on and off different codes in your DNA, in your genetics. So you're not a slave to your genetics. So in the same way that you can have faith and receive it and turn it on, same way you can have faith and turn it off and say, that doesn't go to my generation or to my kid's generation or the next generation. So now you can turn off that genetic code, and now you've passed on to generations, that code is off.
Oh, nice.
And that even pull it out of your DNA altogether. Okay, because epigenetics, it's the ability to change your DNA, to change your genetics. Okay. Again, this is all in science. They had, well, I don't need to get into that. One of the scientific studies. I don't need to go too much of that. If you want to know more of the details, leave us a comment. Let us know. We'll let you know some books that have been extremely informative. But I know that I'm not supposed to sit here going into great depth. That's not what this is about. This is just to set a stage to give an understanding. So we've got those two things that will come up, change the shape of our brain. We can change our DNA and our genetics. We're capable of doing that. So now let's move on to, I talked about genes passed down, that they come to a zipped or dormant, and our thoughts can either turn them on or off.
Dormant. Tied up, that's what you mean.
Dormant is a good word. And this was a really good phrase that I love the way this was presented. It's your genetics load the gun, but your choices decide whether to pull the trigger or not. So you can have all of these things in your genetics that's been passed down, but you don't have to pull the trigger and let it be effective.
Okay.
We get to choose that.
This sounds pretty powerful, but it also sounds out there.
Okay. It is. It does seem that way, but it's
science.
We could quote thousands of studies, scientific studies, and research and all this. Everything that I am stating is 100% scientifically documented without question. It's not like one person came up with this and, hey, I think this is how it goes. No, you've seen how much study and research
and
we've been going through on this. So 100% solid in the science of this. But then when we found everything in the scriptures that lined up to it, that just nailed everything down that much further, So now let's go on a journey on how our thought works. Okay. So it first is going to enter our awareness, that thought bubble right here. I like the picture right here. I don't know why just right here. I guess it can be up here, but I picture that thought coming right out here.
Well, so you can
see it and evaluate it. So I've got your thought enters your mind, that bubble just outside your head. When the thought first enters your awareness, it is in a temporary state.
Got it.
Okay. It is not yet logged into your brain.
Floating.
Yes. Yeah. It's ineffective to your body. Now, having said that, you can have a thought, and that thought can bring with it emotions and all sorts of things just from that thought. But what's happening is that thought is triggering a memory that has those emotions stored with it.
Okay.
And that's what you're reacting to. So that thought is outside, has no effect internally, that thought alone. Okay. It can trigger stuff that can do things and have effects in your body. But the thought itself is contained. Okay. It is in I like the word dormant state, but it's ineffective yet.
It's out here.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as we keep it out there, it doesn't do anything. So the proper next step is to evaluate that thought.
Okay.
How many times do you do that a day where you actually sit and evaluate your thoughts before you?
I'm going to say never.
Usually it's just the thought, the mind, the mouth. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
We feel like we're a slave to our thoughts because they just take over.
Come and go and fly around and cause chaos. Okay.
That's not how we were created. We should take the time to evaluate those thoughts. And either that's a healthy thought or it's a toxic thought. There is no in between. Okay. And a healthy thought, we'll go through that later and jump ahead, but it's going to be one of those two things. So you need to evaluate it and decide, is this something I want as part of me? Because it's about to become part of who you are.
Okay.
That thought, what you do with it, when you receive it in, it becomes part of who you are. It becomes able to change your DNA, change your endocrine system. It has the ability to do that once you let it in.
Okay.
So if it's a toxic thought, we've talked about different pictures of, just a swarm of poison just flooding through your body. And
that's why it's called toxic, because then it releases toxic. What are you saying?
Yeah. The thought is not, well, again, it's important to know when the thought's out here, it has no power. When we let it in, that's when it has power. So the process of this journey is the awareness of the thought, the evaluation of that thought. Is this thought something that I want to keep?
Okay.
Is this something that is healthy for me? Or is this something that's bad for me?
Okay.
And it's at that point, after the evaluation, now we have to choose what we're going to do with it. And that's what we failed to do this whole time. Well, first we failed to evaluate our thoughts most of the time, but we failed to.
I would say never.
Depends on the person. I've done it. I've weighed my thoughts, and and that's not something I want to be thinking about. I think
I've never done that.
But it's not a it's not something that we're trained in this world
to do. Okay.
We're trained to constantly be bombarded with information and stuff coming at us, and we have to have TV on, we have to have our phones on, we have to have music on, we have to have noise going, we have all this stuff. The enemy wants us in a state of chaos, so we can't make heads or tails of what thoughts are going through, and it's I'm going to leave that part there but that's what he wants to do with that.
So we evaluate it. It's healthy or toxic.
Yep.
Which brings to mind to me a scripture where Jesus said, "If you're not for me, you're against me."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. You have two choices.
Yes.
We've talked about even before in other videos how our words, that there are no neutral words. So there's no neutral thoughts.
Correct.
It's healthy or toxic, period.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's based on what it does inside of you once it's in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the important stuff that we're going to get to is realizing what it actually does.
Okay.
So if you reject the thought, that's one thing. If you accept the thought, that's another. Okay. But there's also a third that kind of falls in there. If you fail to reject it, you're accepting it.
Oh, that doesn't seem fair. Okay. But that's obviously what's been happening.
We're choosing not to evaluate, not to reject. Okay. It's a choice that we're making.
Oh.
But even in our choosing not to pay attention to it, we're choosing to take it.
Oh.
Okay?
That's what we've done our whole lives.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Exactly. So, if you reject the thought, the journey ends. The thought didn't get in, it doesn't do anything in our body, it ends.
It goes away.
Okay?
Okay. Yay for
that doesn't mean that you'll never have that thought again. Okay? That thought may come up again in the future. It may come back up in the next 10 minutes. It depends on how relentless the enemy's trying to be. It depends on, if you're watching something that's constantly trying to manipulate you in a certain way. You can watch scary shows that are trying to get you fearful.
Oh.
Okay? And you keep watching it, you're going to have to keep dealing with fear.
Okay.
Why you would keep doing that, I don't know, but we do stupid stuff. We do.
We do.
It's just what we do. But so if you reject it,
but I don't want us to do stupid stuff.
No,
I want
that's
to
why.
speak things
That's why
like,
we're
let's
learning
go do stupid stuff.
Right.
Okay.
That's how we look. So reject it. Gone. Done. Okay.
Okay.
If we accept the thought,
that's what. Okay.
This is where the epigenetics comes in. This is where the I just drew a blank on the other word that I was using. Neuroplasticity. That's where that comes in. So if we're going to accept a thought, it goes into our brain, and now it starts to do some physical stuff in our brain. Okay?
It takes up
real estate. It takes up, I mean, if you take images of the brain, you can actually see it growing and changing based on thoughts.
Okay.
It actually changes.
Okay.
It's not, just a concept that's out there. It physically changes your brain structure.
Okay.
So proteins are created. They create new neurons. And those neurons, they're like a little tree. Okay? This is a neuron. And the important part that we're going to be looking at, these right here, what we're going to call the branches, those are the dendrites. Okay? That's the technical term, the dendrites. And the dendrites in those branches, those are...
Well, I want to stop you.
Sure.
So you said it takes up residence or real estate. So right here it's planted. Mm-hmm. Then this begins to happen.
Yes. Well,
and now we're talking
that
about
whole thing as a neuron is created, and then the
whole thing is.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the dendrites are added. The dendrites are the information associated with that memory that you just stored. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Yes. So.
You showed. There you go. Okay.
If we accept it, it goes in,
and this happens,
and now it's considered a memory. Okay.
Okay. I'm going with you.
I'm just going to change the term as we go. So.
Okay.
When I say a thought, it's out here. When I say a memory, we've let it in.
Oh, okay.
We've let it be part of the brain.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now we've got that memory that's in there. And at the creation of a memory, things physically happen, like I said. Your brain creates proteins to form neurons. Your thought is now connected to your brain and your body. It's not just in your brain. Now it has the capability of connecting all through your body.
Okay.
And becoming part of who you are. So that thought, you chose to let it become part of who you are. So let's take the farthest end of the toxic thoughts, hate.
Okay.
If you allow hate to come in and plant, you have just made hate part of who you are. Literally.
None of us actually want that.
You wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
But just take a moment to get that picture of when you have that hateful thought or feeling, and you allow it to accept it. When I say accept it, you sit there and you don't reject it.
Right.
And then you ruminate on it, you think about it, you feed it, you all these things that you do with these thoughts. You're building branches.
Okay. Because you put it in and you got a neuron.
Yes. And so now you're filling these in, and the more full you get those, the more information is stored in that neuron.
The more full you're saying, the more branches we have.
Yes. The more healthy the thought. And that's because when you allow it hateful, toxic stuff, we'll get to that a little more later.
Okay.
But it doesn't grow the branches like they should. They form deformed branches, and they're not able to communicate with each other. That's why your thoughts begin to be more jumbled and less coherent, because it creates a chaotic thought. And it's harder for those branches to communicate with one another. So it's this struggle that's going on in your brain because you haven't created a healthy thought. Okay. This is something extremely important. It says that we were not given a spirit of fear. But what's the rest of that?
Okay, it says the Lord has not given you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Okay? Yeah.
So we were created with a sound mind. We were not created with fear. He created us with a sound mind. We learned fear. That's just it. We learned how to be fearful. Fear is what everything stems off of. It's either fear or it's faith. Those are the two sides. For me or against me. Faith or it's fear. Fear produces hate, anger, anxiety. All those things stem from fear. Faith produces love, joy, peace, patience. All these things come from faith. Okay. So we're created to have these kind of thoughts. Our neurons were created to build off of these.
Like love and power.
Yes.
And sound mind.
Yes.
Okay.
These are toxic to us. These are not part of who we're supposed to be. So when these try to build on neurons, it's not healthy. They are distorted. And I've got some pictures of unhealthy thoughts, and they're just, the dendrites are just totally different. So it's all
mangled up and such.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have one long one here and a short couple. I mean, it looks
unkempt.
Yes.
Or whatever. Okay.
And that is physically what happens in us. So if we've got healthy thinking, our brains function really well. Those branches communicate back and forth. They're throwing off electrochemical impulses. They're communicating down to the body. We're producing the right hormones. Everything's in balance. It's all going well. The other side, it's producing chaos. And this is an invader to our body. Because remember, we're made for this.
Right.
This is an invader. So when we have a fearful thought, our body goes into a defensive mode.
Okay, like adrenaline.
Adrenaline, yep, okay, that's one of them.
Because something happens,
And you get flooded with adrenaline.
And you go, woo!
Yep.
Like you're startled or whatever.
Adrenaline has its purpose. Stress level 1 is normal. That's a awareness of your circumstances. Your eyes dilate. Your muscles tense in a little bit, and you're prepared to react to a dangerous situation.
Okay.
That's stress level 1. That's normal.
And God made that.
That's part of our creation.
Okay.
When we go into stress level 2 and 3, that's when it's so damaging to our body, because now our bodies, we continue to stay in that, and we don't just go, oh, and we address the whatever
happened.
Thing is, we talked about a snake. You see a snake, you react, your body reacts accordingly, and then it's like, okay, I'm aware of what I need to do.
Yeah.
I need to walk around the snake, or I need to kill the snake, whatever it is.
And
I'm prepared to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Right.
And everything settles back. These flood us with the hormones that are the feel-good hormones, the serotonin and endorphins and all these things, and allows our body to be in that state of rest and peace where healing applies.
Right.
If we stay over here, then our body is constantly going through this loop, this fear loop, send out all these chemicals to try to combat it. And we're still in fear mode. We got to dump more, and then we got to dump more. Then our body's trying to offset all of that, because now we've just dumped too much, and our body gets so out of whack. And the more that happens, the more that builds up, it starts to express itself in disease.
Well, I get that. I mean, because if you're constantly in a state of adrenaline, your adrenal glands that do that, they're being overworked.
Yes.
They sit straight on top of your kidneys. So now it's going to affect that.
Correct.
Huh. So when people live with chronic anxiety, it's because they're, I'm going to say inadvertently, because we don't know this yet, right? But inadvertently staying in a state of anxiety.
That's correct.
Which just keeps on releasing more and more toxins into our body.
Yes. And how many people have you heard say, my anxiety is high today?
Oh, they do. All the time.
Okay. So they have received that thought.
Yeah.
They have turned on every gene in their body that has to do with anxiety. And now they've also created more of an atmosphere by presenting constant feedback loops of fear and anxiety, fear and anxiety, fear and anxiety, fear and anxiety. I got anxiety. I have anxiety. Anxiety is what I am. It is what it is. Doctor told me I have anxiety. I have anxiety. So
yeah, and how many times do you have a person who takes an antidepressant or an anxiety pill, and then it doesn't help, so then they get another pill? You know, they keep going, oh, then let's try this.
You want, let me go down, read this here, because this is very interesting.
Am I making us go too far by asking questions? Okay.
No. Are we boring anybody over there? Okay, I didn't see any hands raised, so we're good. All right. Research shows an average of 87%. Okay, the range went all the way from 75, I think, to 90. I think it's went all the way up to 95%.
Okay.
Different studies have shown different percentages. But in general average, 87%. Okay. 87% of all mental, physical, and behavioral illness.
Okay.
Has to do with your thought life.
87%?
87% has to do with your thought life. That includes cancer, high blood pressure, stroke, anxiety, multiple personality disorder, dissociative disorder.
I mean, ulcers, and I mean, I can't.
And this is not one doctor that came up with this. There are reports
all over
the place that say that on average, 87% of all of those illnesses are based on our thought life.
So just to say the adverse, if that's the right word, 13%
has to do with our environment,
yeah,
our diet, or
the water we drink, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. But so only 13% of our illness actually is all we would have to deal with if we could figure out this other.
Yep. Anxiety.
87.
Anxiety is not anything that requires a pill.
No, even the Bible says, be anxious for nothing.
So
it didn't say, hope that you never get anxious.
Take enough pills so that you're not anxious for anything.
Right. It actually says, don't do it. Absolutely.
You're spot on. We're told not to. So that means we've got to have the capability. Now we know we do have the capability.
So anxiety, I'm just saying, is worry, fear. There's a bunch of things.
It's a buzzword today. Everything we throw is anxiety. Yeah. Everything we throw is anxiety. And by doing that, people have received the anxiety. Well, he has anxiety. Oh, I have it too. And that, and it's just, the enemy has went rampant in getting people to accept anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes. Make it a normal thing. And it's not a normal thing. It is contrary to the way that your body was designed. So your body is going to have adverse reaction. That anxiety that you claim and you allow to run rampant in your body is going to start showing up in stomach issues, issues with your bowel movements, your thinking, your foggy thinking, you're not being able to focus.
Your sweat glands.
Your sweat glands will be affected.
Probably everything in some way, shape, or form.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to affect your sex life. Absolutely. It's because it jacks up your hormones.
Right.
That's another thing. Hormone imbalance starts here. Hormone imbalance starts here. Our body is capable of balancing every hormone in our body if we give it the right circumstances.
Because that's how God made it. We have hormones because we're supposed to.
Yep. But they're supposed to be in balance.
That's how God made it. But yeah.
They're supposed to be in balance.
This is pretty interesting.
And it's all because our bodies are created to function over here in these faith-based thoughts and emotions and all this. This is foreign to our body. These are foreign invaders. This hate, anger, fear, all of this, it's foreign to our body. So our bodies go into a chaotic state.
Well, that's why it does. So you see the snake, adrenaline fills. God made that. It's to keep you, to make you aware at the moment of potential danger or whatever. And then things are addressed and it should go away.
Yep. Everything restored back. Homeostasis,
this
perfect.
Is really interesting.
But that's how we're created. But we don't. My people perish for lack of knowledge.
This is true.
We don't have this knowledge. We don't have this knowledge because the world doesn't want us to have this knowledge. Because if you're not for him, you're against him. The medical industry is against him. It just is. They have not cured anything.
Oh, they just make us sicker.
So let's go back to anxiety. 87% of the people that walk in that door that say that are diagnosed with anxiety. Science says it's 87% of it is conservative.
In your thought.
But it's in your thought. How many doctors go, what's your thought life like? Have you been aware of your thoughts? Have you been taking time to meditate on your thoughts during the day? Have you taken time to, have a thought journal where you write down and evaluate what kind of thoughts you're having? Let's address that first.
No.
They don't get paid on that. They get paid on pills.
Yeah, no doctor I've ever been to. It's just like, oh, well, you must have that.
I'm in.
Write a prescription.
Here's the script.
See you later.
Oh, by the way, next week you're back because you got a side effect. I got one of those too. Here you go. Okay, so 87%. And the science and the researchers have this number at 87%. And one of these books that I got this out of was 20 years old, 15 or 20 years old. This isn't new information.
It's just hidden.
It's not new. You don't make money if you don't give pills. It's just that simple. I'm sorry if you're a pill taker, if you're a doctor worshiper. This won't work for you if you're gonna worship the one over the other. It's just not. God designed us this way. We need to get control of our thoughts. We need to take every thought captive. We need to decide which one is worthy of being in our body. Our body is what? It's a temple.
Oh,
it's a temple.
Oh,
we worry about, well, no, I don't smoke, I don't drink because my body's a temple. But you are taking so much damage to your temple with your thoughts, because your thoughts will dictate your life. Your thoughts will dictate your health. Your thoughts will dictate people around you. And yet,
because you're not going to hang out with people who maybe tell you like it is. You're going to hang out with people who have the same ailments as you, because you get along. Birds of a feather flock together. Okay.
Yeah, let me see what I haven't gotten to. Because you did kind of skip around a little bit, but that was good.
I'm sorry. Okay. Because I asked questions.
No. It's good. Let's. I didn't talk much about the limbic system or the endocrine system.
Well, but these are just the systems within our body that God made.
Yeah.
That release chemicals, hormones, or
Correct.
Whatever for different purposes.
That keep things in balance and keep things in check. And see here, healthy thoughts. So positive, faith-based emotions such as love, joy, peace, happiness, forgiveness, patience. There's a whole list of, they're all found in there. These produce good attitudes. Attitude is a memory attached with an emotion. That's what's an attitude. So when I use attitude, that's a memory that we've attached emotions to. Every memory gets an attached emotion.
Okay.
So technically every memory becomes an attitude, but I use them differently because an attitude is how you portray a lot of times.
Okay.
So that becomes the attitude, the emotion that's tied to that memory, and how you present it. So, the good thoughts is how we're designed to run. I keep wanting to see like a car engine. No, it's designed to run on gasoline, a certain octane, whatever. But if we start throwing sand in there and dirt in there and sugar in there and all these things that don't burn properly,
cleanly or whatever,
our car starts acting up. But then if we just throw an additive in there to try to get the car to act better, but don't fix all the stuff in there, we just keep adding more stuff in there, we're going to have complete failure. It's just going to happen. So when you make a conscious decision to focus and direct your attention correctly, you change your physical matter. You change your body internally, and it starts to present itself externally. You see a rash?
Right.
A rash you can trace back to toxic thinking, because chemicals are released when your endocrine system goes, hey, we got a fearful thing coming up. We got to, throw some adrenaline out there. We got to throw, we'll get to in a second how many, I'll get to that now. But your body just doesn't know what to do with all that. If it's just a flood of it and then it's, we stop, then your system goes through, operates like it's supposed to, it cleans those things up, it gets them out, and we're all back to where we're supposed to be. But when we're constantly flooding, it starts showing up on a rash, or it starts showing. Think of when I had that full body rash.
That was so crazy.
30 years ago or whatever that was, and couldn't figure out what it was. We went through an extremely stressful time in our life, and I had so much stress that I didn't deal with properly that it manifested in a rash. And it's got to go somewhere.
Well, because the truth is, because I've just been doing this pretty massive detox, and some of the side effects, as it were, for detox may be acne because the toxins are trying to get out.
Yeah.
So you might get acne. So if you have too much toxin and it's like, I don't know what to do.
Right. Because your body wants it out.
Because your body wants it out. And then it can turn into a rash. I mean, I can totally see stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And even to the point that you will start attacking your own cells trying to fight this because you're creating enemy within your body, and it won't ever get 100% effective because you keep feeding the same stuff.
Right.
And until you change that, until you, what's that word? Repent, which means to change your thinking. Unless you repent and change your thinking, you're not going to change. You're just not. Metaneo. We got to change that thinking. We've got to repent and turn from the ways we've done it and return to how we're created and supposed to do it. So let's see here. Negative toxic thoughts, or negative thoughts, toxic thoughts. Fear-based emotions such as hate, worry, anxiety, anger, hostility, rage, resentment, they produce toxic attitudes which produce toxic responses in your body, which we've talked about. It creates that, and your body responds accordingly. It's going to do what you tell it to do. By
actually releasing chemicals.
Correct. It's a physical thing that happens.
That's why we're calling it toxic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it releases chemicals that are not great for us.
Correct. Yeah. In their place, they're perfect.
They serve their purpose. Right.
But you get those out of whack.
Right.
And you've got a toxic situation, a chaotic, toxic thought in your thing going on in your system. So if you are anxious or worried about something, hypothalamus, which is center in the brain, won't go into all that, but it'll respond by releasing more chemicals than it should. Again, stress stage 1, it's going to release a certain amount of chemicals. It does what it's supposed to do. Everything's great. But when we go into fear and worry, anxiety, and all these things, it starts pumping out more than it's supposed to. And the body can't handle that because it's not designed for that.
I think that's what autoimmune diseases actually are. Because, yes, God made it to when we get an infection of some degree, white blood cells rush to that area to fight the infection. And I'm pretty sure that autoimmune diseases keep you in a state of
constant
infection,
battle,
as it were. Yeah. So your white blood cells are never resting, or whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that.
I think that sounds right. I haven't studied into that, but I think that's right. So it produces more chemicals than it should. That in turn causes the pituitary to release too many chemicals, and the result is neurochemical chaos. It's just our body starts just pumping stuff out, and it's chaos. One of the easy things is your thinking will go fuzzy. You won't be your thoughts now. When you have that nice chemical balance in there, your thoughts are clear, they're focused. Not a problem. But when all that chemical is going on through your brain and through your body, it's literally chaos in there. And your thoughts cannot form as well as they should. You will not focus as well. You will not be as productive, all those things. Let's see here. Negative toxic thoughts shift your body's focus to protection and survival. We kind of talked about that.
But it goes into this mode. State. Yeah.
Exactly, but we force it to live in that state.
I know, because I was going to say, I want to say 100% of people live in the state that we're talking about. Constant chaos. And
of all the people we know in our world,
but
I'm sure there's,
maybe there's some who already know this and, and can function in the better way. But, by and large, us all regular people, we live in this constantly.
Yes.
And that's if we can think clearly enough to do our jobs well. Yes, we all get through the day, every day. We do it. but without pristine minds.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, then we're flat exhausted. You know, so we come home from work and we don't even want to fool with our spouses or our children.
Yep.
Or our housework, or whatever it is.
Additional
it's
frustrations and stresses.
Yeah, because you're already worn out because all day you're just battling with what's happening inside your body. Your
body is not allowed to produce a state of rest because it's in constant chaos.
And that's why
go right into your sleep.
So much sleep problem.
Exactly, because your body is in chaos. It's not balanced. It's not able to put off the melatonin and stuff that you need to sleep. It's not able to go, all right, let's rest and clean our mind. That's what happens. Glial cells run through and they clean up all the crap that's not supposed to be there at night. That's why sleep is so important. You've got to have good sleep. Your body requires it. Mm-hmm. But when you put yourself in a constant state of chaos, that's part of the results. Mm-hmm. If your thought life is toxic, you have toxic memories physically built into your magic trees. Tree right here. So
we call these magic trees?
This quote I took right from the book. So she calls them magic trees, but and then the chemicals that accompany those thoughts are coursing through your body, myriad of feedback loops, just like we've been talking about. You create this cycle, and you feel like you can't break the cycle. They tell you to take a pill that tries to stop part of your brain from recognizing how stressed you are, but the rest of your body still knows how stressed you are, and it eventually gets to the other side, and now you're going to have to take another pill to help because that one's doing some of it. But then, I mean, like you were saying, you've known people that were on 2 or 3 antidepressants at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
And doctors, if they don't know this information, it's because they've chosen not to.
Well, I mean,
it's out there. It's
somebody has chosen not to teach it, okay? I mean, so maybe it's not your actual doctor's fault, but...
I put ignorance on them, but that's no issue.
I do know that... Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. The word pharmakeia or pharmacia, I don't even know how to say it, but that means pharmacy. And witchcraft, I mean. But also I was just doing the study on Galatians chapter 5, where it talks about the deeds of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. Mm-hmm. There's one in there, the deeds of the flesh, that is sorcery. And I mean, that, I think by and large, we would all just go,
no, sorcery, I'm not a witch.
Yeah, I don't participate in stuff like that. But the truth is, when I did the word study, and maybe I'm giving too much information, but the word study is medication. Mm-hmm. That is the word for sorcery in our Bible.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's amazing.
Since you went there, in I want to say it's Revelation, where it says that the world will be deceived by the sorcery. That's the word sorcery is pharmakeia, meaning medication. The world will be deceived.
Well, it's because it just adds to the chaos that's already there, but also it blinds us from other things. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is really...
That's a whole other video we're going to do.
I'm sorry.
Need to do or whatever, but yes, that's... So, But again, if we apply this, then based on the science, 87%, at least 87% of the physical, mental, and behavioral things that we deal with will go away. 87%.
So, can we wrap it up?
Yeah, let me get to... I thought there was one other thing I was trying to say when you took us the other direction.
No,
that's fine.
I'm so sorry. You're fine. Take your time.
Oh, this was a good one. Research shows that fear triggers more than 1,400 physical and chemical responses and activates more than 30 different hormones and neurotransmitters. So if you have a fearful thought, that you entertain.
Oh, one thought you're saying
One
does all
thought.
that? Oh.
One thought. I'm not talking about you are always in a state of fear.
In a lifetime.
If you have fear come up and you don't eject it and reject it, but you let it in and you think, and you let it do its thing, 1,400 physical and chemical responses happen and activates more than 30 different hormones and neurotransmitters. Just that one fearful thought triggers all of that. And now your body's got to try to fix it all because we're not made to be in that state. We're made to be in this state. We were created without fear. We were created with a sound mind, with clear thinking, with focused thinking. That's how our body is designed to operate. When we throw it over here, we throw that balance off. When we live over here, we destroy this. We are literally destroying ourselves from the inside out. Literally. And yes, I'm using that word correctly.
So I'm sure that we're going to go more into all these other aspects.
Oh, yes.
In our lesson and stuff.
Yes.
But ultimately, step one is start paying attention to your thoughts.
Yes. Be aware of your thoughts,
Right. And so even if even if we've accepted some thoughts, if we recognize them later that they are in there, we can kill them.
Yes. Well, we can rewire them.
Okay, whatever. I'm saying there's hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely.
All right, because it's not just about the memory or the thoughts that come now.
Yeah.
There are answers for the ones that are already there.
Yep.
All these. Well, this is a good one, but the bad toxic trees.
We can build good over the bad.
There's still hope.
Yep. Absolutely.
Of course, our hope is in Jesus. Our hope is in information. Because, like you said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Science. Boom. Same word.
Doctrine.
Doctrine is the
The word
same
doctrine
word.
means knowledge.
So I feel like we're wrapping up.
Yep. I want to take us right back to where we started.
Oh, the
so
scriptures?
Now I'm just going to read from here.
Oh.
So now we've got this information we've just talked about. Now let's look at these scriptures again. So we've got, as a man thinks within himself, so is he.
So that's exactly. So we're saying we think thoughts, it affects our whole body. So as we think, so are we. So we think toxins, or we think good ones, good serotonins and whatever. They give us peace and calm and comfort. Okay.
Yep. And this is not, we're not talking about just having, positive thinking.
No.
Positive thinking is important.
Yeah, I get it.
But it's not just about having positive thinking. It's about controlling your thoughts and choosing which thoughts you want to be part of you, which thoughts you don't want to be part of you.
That's the next one.
So, we are destroying speculations in every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Take that thought captive. God, is this something you want me to have? It's not. It's gone. It's not anything more than that. We even talked about earlier, adding it into the program, is that when those thoughts come up, we don't debate them. Because the enemy will manipulate our thoughts and justify why we should feel like this. Well, I'm feeling lonely because all my friends are gone. Well, the truth is your friends really are gone. There's nobody there. You entertain that, he's crafty. But if you go, nope, loneliness is not something that I want to accept. That does not flow in this body well. So what I know is God's created me. He's got me in a perfect place. He loves me. You replace it with truth.
He said, I've called you friend. So
exactly. There you go.
If there's nobody else, there's Jesus.
Then we go to Philippians. Finally, brethren, when whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good repute, if there is any excellence in anything worthy of praise, think on these things. So he tells us what to think on.
Yeah, he didn't say, think on your worries, think on your...
Think on your troubles, think about your money problems, think about your, whatever it is.
Right.
He didn't say any of that. Right. Think on these things.
And why? Because then it releases the good stuff.
Yep. Isaiah, you will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is steadfast. And another one says stayed on thee. I can't remember what version that is.
Right. King James.
So,
but I mean, so
if we keep our mind stayed on him
and the things of him,
perfect peace.
Perfect peace.
That's how we're created.
And it gives us a steadfast mind.
So now,
which means strong, right?
Does it say all your circumstances will be perfect and then you will find peace?
It doesn't.
I couldn't find that part either. Because our circumstances don't matter. We get to choose how we react to everything. We can't control every circumstance around us, but we can control every action and reaction to the circumstances. We had that choice. We had that free will. We can be in a chaotic situation, and what if we were in a boat and there was this massive storm?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we take a nap. Are
we going to be fearful?
That's what Jesus did. Yes.
He was in perfect peace. His surroundings didn't matter. His circumstances didn't matter. Because his mind was stayed where it was supposed to be.
Right.
He was in perfect peace because he had his mind on the things of God. Seems pretty simple. Yep, there's a storm. Aren't you guys handling it? What are you waking me up for? Mm-hmm. All right, fine, I'll take care of it. But you didn't need to worry about it. You just chose to. Mm-hmm. Control your thinking.
Because, his response was, oh, you of little faith.
Because, again, your faith thoughts or your fear thoughts.
Because he said, how long do I have to be with you? Because he's like, I'm showing you the example of this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So, let's see here. For the mind set on the flesh is death.
Which is exactly what we're talking about.
When we set our mind to death, it's death. It is.
But it's on the flesh. So it's things that just happen out here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But the mind set on the spirit is life and peace. We bring life to our body. Mm-hmm. We bring peace to our body. When we're in peace, we kind of make it peaceful for people around us too.
Well, and there's other scripture that says, I've set before you today life and death. Right?
Yep.
Choose life.
So we get to choose.
It's saying to. Pick life. Pick that one because this one stinks.
These thoughts are death. These thoughts are life. These words are death. These words are life. Choose it.
Right. It's plain as
It's just choose it.
Yes.
And the last one, and do not be conformed to this world.
Which means which can mean go to your doctor because you don't feel well. Keep on taking more and more medication. Claim the illnesses as your own.
Be a victim.
Bring them into your body. Mm-hmm. Take it on. Yep. Okay, so do not be conformed to this world.
That's how the world does it.
Don't do that.
Mm-hmm. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
So we can renew these.
We can renew our mind.
This is crazy.
We're even told to do it. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may prove the will of God. What is good and acceptable and perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't say what is crappy, hurtful, and sicky.
So we haven't talked about this yet. But when we have chaotic mind, we don't have a clear connection to him. It's that same chaos is hindering our thoughts.
I'm going to say I've experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I start spinning out of control, and the last thing that I can hear is his voice.
Yep, exactly. And again, the enemy wants us in a constant state of chaos. Our world is designed to create chaos. Our medicine is designed to create chaos. Mm-hmm. That's what the enemy wants in us, is chaos. When we have chaos, we don't have connection.
And that's its purpose, I'm sure. Yeah.
But when we set our mind on him, when we renew our mind, we transform our mind, when we think on these things, when we take the thought captive, we're in perfect peace. Our connection is so strong.
Yeah.
Our connection just grows.
I'm excited to get
because
there.
we are now in a place that we're designed to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're designed to be over here in this peace, not in the chaos.
I'm excited to get there.
So how do you do this? There's a process. It's not something you're going to do overnight. You're going, okay, today I choose that. No, you're going to.
And magically it's over.
There is. But we're putting together a process, a daily thing to walk through and teach people, as we even teach ourselves, how to overcome every thought, how to take every thought captive, how to change that thinking, how to renew our mind, how to get victory over the chaos. Mm-hmm. And that is going to bring victory in the body. It's going to, things are going to heal up because our body is made to heal, and we're going to give it what it needs to heal. So we're putting this together. Well,
if you're interested, let us know. Can we just do that?
Yes. There will be no cost. There will be nothing. We actually ran across the thing on Facebook that was talking about very similar stuff. We could even tell that she had read some of the same books that we had. And it's free to join. And so we went, hey, there's stuff we can glean out of this. We turn it on and we're listening to it. And they spent more time just giving a little bit of why you need to and why paying for it.
Why you should sign up for their program.
You should sign up for their program.
And it was very ridiculous cost.
$3,000
per person.
And this was a godly couple.
I mean, they seem sweet enough and all. Yeah.
But anyway, that's not where God is right now. He is not about us profiting over helping people. Mm-hmm. So we decided we're going to put together something that he's been taking us through so we can help one person, 1 million people. We don't care how many, we want to be able to take this truth and help people walk it out, transform lives. Yeah.
So on that note, if you're interested in what we're talking about, and there's more, let us know. Let us know in the comments, or if you know us personally, text us, call us, message us, whatever.
Or as my dad would say, sorry, Dad, but I sent you an email on Messenger when I texted you.
Anyway, let us know, and then we'll keep you involved. We're still
developing.
We're way early in this whole thing. But we're very excited about it.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's so powerful.
It's truth. I mean, it's truth. And it's so cool how the science is finally coming to light. So Joe Blows like us can learn the science. And it matches right up with the scriptures. And I mean, so it just goes hand in hand.
This even ties into, we touched just briefly on quantum faith and all that stuff. This goes right into that. It ties right into the quantum stuff seamlessly because this is how God created it.
Yes. So, I mean, we honestly believe that the Lord has shown us this and others so that his people can have victory. We shouldn't be walking around like we are as part of the world. So anyway, so let us know if you are interested. It's going to be, we haven't decided yet, is there going to be a video every time? But there will be PDFs and stuff, so that whoever would like to be involved in it will be able to print it out at their own house, whatever. So again, there will be no cost. It'll be all about you sitting down, reading the information, doing the little projects and questions and things, Bible study, as it were, you know, and let's all get victorious. Let's do it together, you know? So we are more than conquerors. This has got to be part of it. Mm-hmm. There's so many scriptures that now you just go, that could apply, you know? So anyways, you guys have a fabulous day. You know, be the sunshine to somebody. And we're going to talk to y'all later. All right? Thanks.
Yes, thanks.